Hey.
Hello,
Hey,
hello.
welcome to the pre-game hangouts. It's good to see everybody. We were just talking about what exciting things we have in our lives to talk about, and yeah, our lives are very exciting. Writers living the dream.
Well, I
Yep.
have my novella coming out in a couple weeks now.
That's
Less than
awesome.
2 weeks. So
Yeah, we're gonna do a giveaway for you, right?
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I had an anthology. Well, it's not really an anthology so much as a collaborative novel, and I wrote part of it that came out about a week ago. That was pretty cool. And Yang mentioned to me today, he's like, "Are we going to do like a giveaway or something?" And I'm like, "I don't even have copies, but that's a great idea." So one day.
Life is hard. They don't even give you giveaway copies.
Well, not yet, anyway.
Well, did you want to talk about what that book is about, Eric? And maybe, I don't know, drop an Amazon link for people that are interested or people that are watching this video later.
I guess, yeah. So,
You too, Rhiannon.
I write in this Basil and Mobius series, which is a sort of modern pulp with Lovecraftian elements to it. Along with like Richard Lee Byers and Chris Jackson and Timothy Zahn, and it's pretty fun. It's like a team up between James Bond and Indiana Jones and fighting Lovecraftian monsters is how the creator describes it. And my stories are kind of timeline bending, going across different eras, and it's real fun. I'm gonna find a link and drop it in the chat if the chat allows me to.
Did
you say?
Oh, go ahead, Steven.
Did you say timeline bending?
Yep.
Shocker.
Yeah, I was about to comment too. Are they fighting a golden raven?
Shh, spoilers. Anyway,
little do we know, Eric has actually just been like writing up our D&D adventures and then selling them to anthologies.
Well, I mean, I've ported over not everybody's character, but like Artemisia and a couple other characters. But as a short story, it doesn't tend to work very well, or at least it hasn't seemed to, because it's a bit long to be very saleable. So my 10,000 word short story is just kind of hanging out. At some point, I'll probably publish it so that our fans can read it. But
Yay!
nice. You know, it's kind of interesting. You mentioned about the time thing. I am not a huge fan of like time travel stories and whatnot. But like the Western Irregulars thing.
Oh, 1 second.
I
Sorry.
just
Steven, did you start the giveaway
Yes,
for both of them?
I'm just about to hit go on the announcement for the Discord one.
Oh, okay. Because I see that some people have got the ticket one going on, and that seems to be working pretty well. But the exclamation mark enter one is giving no confirmation. But maybe
Okay.
it's just whispering it to them or something, and I'm not seeing it.
No, it should. It should. Let me check it out. One of them, I think, actually requires that I hit go. The other one's been going since yesterday.
Okay. Sorry about that, Eric.
Yeah. What I was going to say is that I'm more interested in examinations of the dark reflection of yourself rather than time travel specifically. I think they hired me to start writing these stories because they wanted a version of the characters who were from the Middle Ages. So it's more fantasy-esque. And I made at least one of my characters immortal. So they kind of cross over into both timelines. So that's how it works. There's not time travel. It's just that the story takes place in different eras.
Cool.
Time travel is a really weird narrative device that can easily mess up your story. So,
well, there's time travel and then there's time loops, and I feel
Right.
like those are very different feel because I don't know that I particularly like time travel stories, but
Ditto.
time loops happen to be a story kink of mine. I love to watch and read it. I don't know that I particularly love to write it. But with loops, I guess with that and a certain kind of time travel, it's all about tracking the small changes that then lead to something very different. And you could either sort of be like, oh, this small little change, how does something become wildly different? Or how do you find a small change that will get you to this wildly different location? And it's all very sort of interesting for me. So if I was to ever write sort of like some kind of time loop kind of thing for the short story times I do for this, it would be some sort of like, given, this in a childhood, what would happen to this character? Sort of what we're doing with Golden Raven, because I think that's interesting and cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a question about how to make sure that you have your tokens assigned. But this reminds me of a thing I saw recently, which I like time travel stories, but I saw a time travel story movie recently that I think underscores what people don't like about time travel movies because it kind of messed it up. The Adam Project.
Oh.
So what's great about the Adam Project is Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds with a 12-year-old version of himself who is, that actor is great. They play out really well off each other. The emotional moments are fantastic. Like you will get hit in the feels and be like, what? I did not expect this. The story makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
And I think fundamentally what it comes down to is there are two ways to tell a time travel story. The sort of the easy way and the hard way in some sense. But one is you don't dig in the details. You don't get obsessed with causality. You use it as a way to explore your theme or sometimes just have shenanigans. That's okay. The other one is where you look it full in the face and you address the existential horror of the butterfly effect. You can't have both. And this movie said, what if we did though? It doesn't work. It's it's a mess. Aside from things where it just did not establish things about the world, like why do we time travel? Nobody knows. There's just a whole division of time travelers for reasons.
Yeah, I'd love to hear from chat, like if they have a favorite time travel movie also, just toss it out there so we get a quick idea if there's any common movies. I
really like the Connie Willis's Oxford time travel series, and I think that's one where we just go, oh no, we solved that problem, and we move away from it, because honestly that's the kind of thing. It's sort of like when you have a magic system and you decide you're going to like get down to like how do the molecules interact. The deeper you go, the more it's not going to make any sense because it can't actually happen. So it does not behoove you to figure out how to make time travel actually work, because probably it doesn't.
Yeah.
You're telling a story. Tell the story first.
Yeah. And now, like with today's like modern understanding of science, a lot of them are starting to get into like splintering off into like multiverses, rather than just like having like a singular timeline where you go into the past and that affects directly like the same future. So it gets really messy. So I don't know how you really do it well in like short story form or even in a movie anymore, because there's just like so much of that stuff that you need to really establish. I mean, I myself continue to be a fan. Whenever I think of time travel movies, I continue to be a fan of Back to the Future. You know, it's like the type of time travel that I can just be dumb about. You know, it doesn't try to be like real smart about it.
Causality matters when it matters to the story, and we don't get into it any farther than that.
Yeah.
We signal right off. The time machine is a DeLorean.
Yeah,
and that's it. That sets the tone. We don't have to get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah,
and the fact that Marty is not the scientist makes that work perfectly. This is like, okay, cool.
Yeah, and the scientist is like this kook, you know, this like really wacky kook, so you kind of believe that it all kind of just works somehow. Same thing with Hot Tub Time Machine. Like, it's a freaking hot tub that travels through time. I'm okay, I'm on board with this.
We were discussing somewhere the other day about how a lot of medievalists really like A Knight's Tale. And it's because from the medievalist point of view, it captures the spirit of what jousting was and what music was and what dance was to the people of the time, so that it was something they were really enthusiastic about and something that was new and cool and whatever.
And it
Um,
translates it in a way that we can understand.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
But the discussion was about sort of how they cued that right from the beginning, so that you know what you're getting into. Like do it hard and fast at the beginning with the Queen, and then like what kind of movie this is going to be. And I was thinking about it because, confession time. I've been watching The Courtship, which is a sort of quasi-historical bachelorette
Ooh,
Is it wonderful
reality
and
show.
trashy?
that sounds
Oh,
that
it
sounds
is
fun.
amazingly trashy.
What channel or like where can I see it?
NBC, I think.
NBC?
They're only
Okay.
on like episode 3 or so.
Oh, I'll wait for the
Anyway,
season.
it's supposedly set in Regency time.
I feel like
and
Artemisia would be a super big fan of this. Like be like, no, I'm busy on Thursday, I can't. But maybe not tell anybody what she's actually doing.
Oh my god. What
Except
if,
somebody else would watch this with you. I'm not sure who.
Yeah, like
Sorry,
what
I
if
interrupted
there
your
was
story.
a what if there was like a sorry, just to like I have to interject real quick. Like
Okay.
you just made me think about like what if in the Forgotten Realms there's like this service where like you could pay somebody gold and then they let you like scry on their lives and they just live like this super trashy like whatever romantic dramatic life. Kind of like their their version of the reality show. And they
of
just
course,
know.
reality shows are so edited, though. That's the thing. Like the people's lives aren't actually like this, but
Maybe there's like
reality shows
illusionist
are scripted,
wizards.
man. There we go. Anyway, they started the very first episode of The Courtship. They walk up to the stately home in Britain where they're going to set it, and they have her dress up, and she like dresses up, and it is completely ahistorical, like incredibly wrong dress. I don't know that dress is from any era. It's from like the era of now that somebody was like, I need a poofy princess dress. So I'm like, okay, historical accuracy, not happening. Not that I thought it would be, but it was nice to sort of be like, okay, we're on the same page here.
Establishing tone is a very important
Yeah.
thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But
I
she cut
recently- oh, go
my
ahead.
favorite dude in the second episode, which just leaves him for me. So I obviously have to go like travel and meet up with him.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
might
Follow
all
him
the
on
other women who are-
Instagram. Follow him on Twitter and start tweeting back and forth. Make it
There we
happen.
No other viewer of this show would have thought of that.
You know what?
I mean, do you want me to play
If
Twitter
you don't
wingman?
try,
Yeah. You don't try. Got no ticket in the game. No ticket in the
There we
lottery.
go. There we go. Yep.
So I'm gonna read off a bunch of the things that people submitted as answers for their favorite
yeah.
time travel stories. Meyer Doug said for the ultimate loop time rider where he gets to be his own grandfather. That reminds me of All You Zombies. I can't remember what the movie is called. Original
story is
Langston.
very weird and upsetting.
It was. So Original Langston says the Star Trek episode, Sitting on the Edge of Forever. Yeah, that's a great one. Was that Harlan Ellingston wrote that one?
I
Or
think it might have been.
yeah. Who's a very famous, like, very accomplished sci-fi author for all his controversies. Meyer Doug says, for all the humor, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures. Yes, yet another really awesome, fun time travel story. Rumpus Superior says, for a time travel novel, he really enjoyed the Anubis Gates.
Me too.
I haven't read that.
Love that. That's Tim Powers. I really enjoyed that too. It's worth reading twice. I'd like to go back to that.
Oh, is that one where, like, the second time you uncover more clues or things that adds
It was layered. I was enjoying it so much I read it fast, and I know if I slowed down or read it a second time, I would pick out a lot more. It was good. Love that.
Yeah, I have to add it to my list.
Yeah,
So
it's
Randy throws in Looper, the movie Looper.
Mhm.
I
So
did like Looper a lot.
Somewhere in Time with Christopher Reeves. I have not seen that one. The Merchant and the Alchemist Gate by Ted Chiang. Yes, excellent story. Time Cop. Myers Doug says Knight's Tale is great. Randy also says Time Cop! Exclamation mark! Some people are very excited about Time Cop.
What about Edge of Tomorrow? That's my favorite one. More looping than.
Yeah.
Haven't seen that one yet, but there was a toss in for.
Oh my god.
It is quite
Edge of Tomorrow's real good.
Yes. But we also have a vote for Time Bandits, which is also excellent.
That was, I liked that a lot. I wonder how I'd like it as an adult. As a young person, I had lots of disappointments with it. Like there was the dude who all the old heroes that they uncovered were all old. And they were so old, they had lost all their cool powers. And there was this one dude who was like the sharpshooter who could hit a sparrow, 10 miles away when shooting over his shoulders backwards. And now he can barely freaking open his eyes. It just pissed me off.
Baron von Munchausen or the
Yeah.
Yeah. The Red
Oh,
Balloon.
am I thinking of a different movie? Yeah, Munchausen.
I remember
Explode me.
liking that, but
Oh.
also finding it somehow terrifying.
Yeah,
Ditto.
Yeah.
Like in a deep, deep way.
There are some really memorable things about, was it Munchausen or Time Bandits when they go to, oh my God, or am I thinking of a third movie? Brazil?
Oh
The
no!
movie Brazil?
Brazil.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a trip.
there was no time in that, but man, the visual texture of that movie
That movie
was,
is effing weird. I don't think I
Yeah.
need to say that, but I'm gonna.
What am I thinking? Was John Cleese in all of these? Is that why I'm thinking of it?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't.
Anyway, sorry.
Terry Gilliam did all.
Terry
of them?
Gilliam?
Yeah. So they all have a very united style.
Yeah. Oh man. But Time Bandits was fun. That was fun. What were they? They stole something from God and they were like trying to escape him. And they
Like you
kept like you do.
As you do, yes.
They were essentially angels, but not. And they like took his time travel device and kept like running from him. Anyway, yeah, that was fun.
Just to plug in a couple of more, Original Angston says, how can we leave out Army of Darkness? Not a movie I usually think about for time travel, but absolutely true.
Okay, wait, but isn't there a Star Trek that's like famously features some kind of time travel? Yeah, they go back to
You mean
save the
Star
whale.
Trek 4: The Voyage Home?
Yeah, the whales.
Yeah.
With the whales.
They got like Save the Whales movie.
Yep.
That's right.
Mm.
Yeah, Eric plugged that one into the chat too. So you guys are on the same wavelength there.
Yeah, that always makes me think of the John Scalzi book, Red Shirts. They're
Mhm.
they're trying to find like an episode of this show that's kind of real. And so they're like, okay, so they go back in time, but they go back to like a random year where nothing else is happening. So that sort of indicates that was when it was being filmed. Because if they go back to like 1995 or something like that, what even happened there? It's different than going back to like 1945 where there are big events or whatever. So I always think of the sort of like trying to figure out when it was filmed by like what random time it goes back to just by chance.
Oh, yeah. I love those films that also go into the future and then like what the actual future date is and what they think the date is at that time, especially like ones that try to depict the year 2000. Like,
Yeah, so many jumpsuits that we aren't actually wearing.
yeah.
Although I will say, Stitch Fix will not stop suggesting like jumpsuits to me. I mean, they're much more fashionable. But it's just like you bought one of these, you want all of them.
So wait,
You know what? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
there's a movie too where I think maybe it's not time travel, but it's cryo time travel, where it's like Sylvester Stallone goes into the future and there's 3 shells instead of toilet paper, and he doesn't know how to use the shells.
Yeah.
And everyone laughs at him when he tries to ask him how to use the shells.
Yeah, where he fights Wesley
What is
Snipes.
Demolition Man? It's
Demolition Man.
It's a Demolition Man. Okay.
Oh, with Sandra Bullock in that machine.
One that I haven't seen is 12 Monkeys,
Oh,
which the TV series is. My husband loves this, and he's like, "You love time travel, you have to watch this." But I started watching it, and then the pandemic hit, and that is all about traveling back in time to stop a plague. So I was
That's
like,
right.
I can't watch this. I haven't gone back to it.
Ah,
But I
That's
did end up reading about. So it's a TV series that's based on a movie that's based on a short film from France, and that it's very interesting how they sort of changed it throughout, because the short film has distinct elements but is not the same at all as they are wont to do.
it has a great last line. Do you
Yeah,
remember?
I didn't
she's-
see the movie.
She's sitting on the plane, and after they've figured everything out, someone sits down next to her on the plane and goes, "How you
He's
doing?"
going to spoil it, isn't he?
Am I-
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Casually
I will
just
shut
spoil
up
it.
now.
No,
I will
it's
It's
a
shut
lie.
fine.
up.
It's fine. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Just a
Plug
lie.
your ears if you don't want to know
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what happened.
they've spent the whole movie trying to like prevent this plague, and they pretty much succeeded. And the woman who's responsible sits down on the plane in the new timeline, and a guy sits down next to her and says, "How you doing? Great. What business are you in?" And she goes, "Insurance."
Huh.
And
Ah.
and I thought that was pretty sweet, because it was such a release
Mhm.
after all the stress of trying to freaking save the world, because it had started in an airport. This guy has this plague in a bottle, and they say, "We need to search that," and he goes, "Okay," and he opens it, and they see it's scentless, and they're inhaling the
Oh
virus,
my
of course.
god.
And so the whole thing starts from an airport, and then it ends in an airplane.
We got a cut out earlier today, right? Danny?
Yes. People keep suggesting like all these wonderful time travel or time loop stories. The one thing I want to highlight is that Decker Kane Sender asked Aaron, "You feeling better today?"
I am. Thank you. I rested yesterday. I drank a lot of tea. I took a very hot shower, and I made it through the Havilar recap. So I figured that's probably good. I am gonna hop up here and very quickly make a cup of tea to get me through, just in case. But thank you, Eric, for being ready to jump in if it turned out I didn't have a voice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sorry we weren't able to like read out and discuss like all the great time travel stories. Like there are just some excellent ones we didn't really get to touch upon, like the Time Traveler's Wife or Future
Oh, that
War,
book stressed me
Idiocracy,
out
et
so
cetera,
bad.
et cetera. What?
Wait, Idiocracy is
No, wait, we got to cut to the recap.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
we do. We'll save this for some time in the future. Okay, bye.
All right, take two with captions. Let's see how this works. So, from the Running Rocks, the Irregulars and Sebastian decided to head out to try to find these faceless witches, or the witches that didn't have markings on their masks. It wasn't long before they encountered another group of people, made up of berserkers and wizards from the Running Rocks, who were kind of roughhousing and wrestling with each other by the river. Stong got really excited and ran down and even started wrestling one of them, with their permission, of course. And they managed to build at least a nice rapport with the group. One of them even told them about what had happened, or at least what he knew of what had happened with Cecilia and Lazar when they'd been taken by the witches to prison for many reasons. One of which was Cecilia being discovered to be a woman and not a man, which was kind of a big no-no. Not helped by being a half-elf, because they generally frown on non-human blood. It's not great. Apparently, according to hearsay, Lazar managed to blow out the side of the building, of all things, and that's why they were able to escape. No one's quite sure what happened after that. There was rumors about Cecilia being taken by the elves in the woods, but, that's probably not true, maybe? It's hard to say. While they were talking, Sturge noticed someone moving across the river in the woods, and so he brought out his familiar Tiny, a little owl, to try to follow them. Well, one of the wizards kind of noticed and dispelled Tiny basically immediately. rather than make things even more awkward, they made excuses about needing to head back to the Running Rocks for some food. And once they were out of earshot, Sturge had Artemisia bring out Mitzi and then helped her be all extra stealthy so that she could give pursuit and scout a bit. Following that, they did return to the Running Rocks to actually get food, and, well, over dinner, Sturge tried to play wingman for Artemisia, and jury's still out on whether or not he actually helped or not, but hey, success for Artemisia, I guess. But Mitzi did message back with some information on what she'd seen, and so they went out to try to find the strange person and the spirit, potentially spirit in the woods. Of course, on their way out, they reached a bridge that would have taken them into the woods across the river and ran into one of the kind of more crotchety old wizards who didn't want to let them across and apparently had been standing guard and wanting to appease the local spirits. And their attempts to ingratiate themselves to him didn't really go over too great. He seemed to become more suspicious and ultimately urged them to go back, stay out of the woods, and if they had questions about Cecilia and Lazar, to take them to Brother Igor. It was the talks with Igor where things got really interesting, though. Not only did Sebastian notice some similarities in appearance between Igor and Lazar, which he didn't enlighten anybody with yet, mind you, so keep that under your hat. But they noticed a axe within Igor's workshop that looked a heck of a lot like the axe that Cecilia summons when she brings out her pact weapon. In pressing Igor for some more information, not only did they find out that Igor was actually Lazar's father, of all people, but that apparently this story about him destroying or killing a boar spirit had some veracity to it, and apparently he hadn't just killed it, he'd used magic to siphon the magical energy from the spirit, or at least that's what Igor is saying, and Igor's suspicious that he might have done the same to Cecilia, and possibly others. Well, Sturge put forward the rather fascinating idea that Cecilia of the alternate timeline, the Golden Raven, might have managed to get access to this magic and use it on Lazar first. Or at the very least, she's been using the spell to siphon magic from other beings, and that's how she's stealing power from gods and other versions of herself. So that's not great, but, well, we're running out of time, and the witches show up soon, and it doesn't sound like they're too keen on our friends, so I guess we'll have to see how that goes, won't we?